Alright, hello guys and welcome to Davis Cup 6. Let's go for a few games today. I'm gonna start with ScriptOff versus Phyrexx, the original version of Phyrexx made by Robink. No, it's not Robink. Um, Robink, yeah. Sorry for the confusion. So for a change I will start with a 4v4, which is gonna be the first game, and then here we will go. So let's have a look at the bracket. I think that it's gonna be the first match for ScriptOff in the final stage. So, final stage, group 5, in which we've got Tribal and Firsteel and the two ScriptOff and Phyrexx. Tribal Warriors looks to be the favorite, especially after its victory 3-0 against Firsteel. In my opinion, ScriptOff does have the power to maybe to get the first place, to contest the first place to Tribal. Let's see. It will start with a victory against Phyrexx. Alright, let's give it a start. So Bolt is gonna play as Pockets with Vietnamese. We've got Normand, one Norman made by Fireball, and this is the team leader. And in the opposite side we will have 105 made by TheNightPanda, and Bolt is made by Bandit. Alright, good luck. And this version of Phyrexx is, as I said, the original one made by Robink. This is, I think it's 12 years old AI, something like this. So it won't lure the boar, it won't retreat from TCs, castles, etc. It will have a unique strategy even if it's pocket or flank, and this is the difference with uh, Phyrexx up that I modified and which is a bit more sophisticated. Alright. Okay, let's focus on Bolt for a change. And while this game is starting, I'm gonna watch what ScriptOff did in the previous rounds. So the adventure of ScriptOff in Davis Cup 7 started in the pre-qualification. So I'm actually looking at the opponents of ScriptOff. Okay. yeah, in the pre-qualification, ScriptOff was undefeated. It won 11 games in a row, and then it joined the qualification stage, in which it lost 2 games and won 7. 3-0 against the Sergeant, 3-0 against Grasshopper, and it lost 2-1 against Siege Master. Siege Master being the older AI in that group, made by Bear the Great, so it was unexpected to see ScriptOff losing against that AI after having won against Sergeant and Grasshopper. So this is basically 19 victories and 2 losses for ScriptOff. Okay, let's give it a boost with 4 times the speed. I'll maybe decrease the speed when we've got already few towers made by 105. Grey is waiting for the feudal age being reached to start building its towers. Okay, that's done. Interesting to see where the lumber come from red was built. Maybe it's kind of safe at this point. Wood being a pretty important resource in the early feudal age. Overall, I think that those towers will hurt Phyrexx a lot. Phyrexx going for especially crossbows, archers I mean, in feudal age. So I assume that red will lose a lot of units against those towers. And besides this, I'm curious to see which target is gonna be chosen by Phyrexx in the early game. Purple and yellow might go for a feudal rush. Red is clearly lucky with its gold in the back. The two lumber camps are quite far from the towers. Only the farms are actually hurt by the towers. Alright. For some reasons, blue is switching its army. Some go on orange, some go on red for some reasons. Alright, near nice castles built by bolts to defend the flanks. It looks like the trash is stopped at this point. Yeah, I think that Phyrexx is gonna be powerless in the World Castle Age, because even if he does have a lot of crossbows, I don't see which opponent to attack. At least with those castles built by Bolt, the flanks are safe. Attacking the pocket could be an option, but I imagine Phyrexx doesn't have any rule to target the pocket instead of a flank. So I'm scared Phyrexx will attack and lose its wall units. The trash eventually worked pretty well. Red is out of the game. It's sad because the lumberjacks were in a safe position with the lumber camp built quite far from towers, but for some reasons the lumberjacks went back to the TC and were killed by the towers. Orange is actually defending pretty well. The 1v1 can be really interesting, I think, between Norman and Phyrexx. Alright. I won't be able to change the speed now. That's too bad. Ah, nice to see those so many rams. I didn't expect Phyrexx would do this. That's really interesting. Okay, an interesting battle. This is gonna happen right now. I think that with those so many rams, there is a chance to clean up the front of the enemy. Hello, Atel. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I changed the point of view just when Phyrexx resigned. I'm really unlucky. I think that this game deserved 4 times the speed at this point, but and I'm not sure speed hack should be used with the. I think that I could be banned maybe if I did this. Well, the score was closed like 5 minutes ago, but it looks like ScriptOff is now getting a edge advantage. I definitely like those rams. Oh, I didn't realize that orange was really hurt. Alright. Okay, let's have a look. We've got actually 9 rams. Well, that is a lot of knights for 105. I think that ScriptOff versus Tribal Warrior is gonna be really interesting. Okay, first we will have Unforeseen versus ScriptOff. So Tribal Warrior versus ScriptOff is gonna be the third match for ScriptOff in Group 5. So it will be a bit delayed. But even against Unforeseen, I think that ScriptOff will have a pretty good and strong opponents. Unforeseen is really good overall, especially in Imperial Age. And I think that the ScriptOff's weakness might be in Imperial Age. I think that one Norman and 105 don't know how to research Imperial Age, so in long games it might be a real disadvantage. Alright, Green is researching Imperial Age. I think that I will add something for the streaming, a score. Let's see. Okay, it's definitely not Bambi versus Binary. I'm gonna change something. we've got 1-0. And the opponent is Phyrexx. Okay. Yellow is still alive. He does have a decent army. But green is actually switching the opponent and it's running on yellow now. And we definitely can expect a counter-attack from teal and grey, and that's gonna be hard now for yellow to handle of 1 versus 4. Yeah, it was really optimistic, Phyrexx, I think. So here we go for the counter attack. Alright, yellow is under the 80 population soon. Yep, here we go. Congratulations, ScriptOff. It's actually 20 games won in total from the beginning of Davis Cup 7 and 2 losses only. And I think that the 2v2 can be really interesting. We saw that Phyrexx was able to handle the attack from Norman in the middle game. This time Norman won't be helped by Bolt and its defensive castles. So let's see. I'm curious. Okay, I'm rooting for ScriptOff because I think this team definitely needs points against Phyrexx. It needs the 3 points because after this it will have to face Unfair Steel and Tribal Warrior, which are stronger opponents than Phyrexx, I think. So if ScriptOff is expecting a qualification, it will need to at least to win 3 games against Phyrexx and few more against Unfair Steel and Tribal. That's gonna be hard, I think. Tribal might be the favorite, and Unfair Steel is, I think, able to beat ScriptOff. Yep, I will go for 4 times the speed. There is no DOC. Alright, there is a good question from Wattle. Thank you, Wattle, for this question. I think that Tribal is gonna be better in handling 105's trash since the last tournament. I worked a bit on Tribal to fix this, and villagers should be able to attack the towers and to break them before being hurt. So yeah, it may be interesting. From what I've seen when I was testing Tribal against Trusher, is especially 105, it can handle the aggression with towers, and after this 105 being quite aggressive with the knights, it makes the game really interesting in late Castle Age. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, I think. And I think that with the hit and run against knights, uh, it should be fine against normal. I also improved Tribal against Scorpions because in the last tournament Tribal had big issues against Scorpions. If I'm right, Tribal met one Norman and score was 2-1 for Tribal, something like that. But Tribal had big issues against the Scorpions trained by one Norman. So now it's improved, modified, so I think that Tribal should be better. Alright, let's go for the fight. The knight is attacking the wrong lumber camp. Well, the tower is really good, at a great position. This version of Phyrexx, which is the original one, won't retreat from towers or from TCs. So let's say that the units are quite vulnerable in the early attacks. So yeah, it's making Norman quite safe. Well, the tower have been broken, I just didn't realize this. So let's see how one Norman is gonna handle this pressure. There is a really good behavior from one Norman with this new mining camp. Well, I think that one Norman definitely needs to mass its army because it won't expand its economy. So one Norman becomes strong when it mass knights. Actually, the pressure is working quite well for Phyrexx. And Phyrexx is researching Castle Age, so we might see a second TC and Phyrexx should start booming while attacking. And we can't expect a new TC for one Norman. Alright, so we've got Bunkinaro, which is actually researched. Recrossbows might come soon. Yep, here we go. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Repikeman soon also. Yeah, unfortunately when Norman is losing its army one by one. Well, the knights are lost so fast, unfortunately. Okay, let's compare the population. 63 population villagers for Phyrexx, 66 for one Norman. Well, I'm surprised to see that there is no second TC for Phyrexx. Well, I had some hopes at the beginning for One Norman, just because it would go for Scorpions, but unfortunately it didn't work. There was too few Scorpion strains. At the most it did have 2 Scorpions and maybe 3 or 4 Knights, but Phyrexx did have already a big army. Yeah, the game looks to be over. Yeah, 1 TC only for Phyrexx. I did expect it would try to boom a bit, but no need. So, score is 1-1. Yeah, this is the original version of Phyrexx made by Robink. So this version is a 12 years old AI, if I'm right. The difference with the up version is the up version has rules to lure the boar, um, to retreat from towers, castles, TCs, and also will train cavalry archers as pocket after having go for a fast castle. While in this original version the strategy remains the same. If it goes as pocket or flanks, it just go for flush and then go for a mix between crossbows and cavalry archers, etc. So we've got now a 2v2. And let's say that ScriptOff really need to win that 2v2, or it will be in a very bad shape. I actually think that having lost the 1v1 is already a big problem for ScriptOff in this group. So we will have 105 joining the battle as Celt. Alright, good luck. And there is an interesting point in this final stage. Phyrexx Up did already play 6 games and lost every single game, while Phyrexx the original did win 1 game. So the original is actually doing better than the up version. So 105 made by TheNightPanda, one Norman made by Fireball. We already saw in the 4v4 that Trushing did work pretty well against Phyrexx. I need to change the score. Yeah, definitely ScriptOff versus Untrusted is going to be really interesting and already so important for ScriptOff team. And yes, I definitely get what you mean. Of course, as scripter, it's always pretty interesting to test your own AI with even old ones, especially because old one used to have strategies which are not so common compared to the current well-known AIs. But I think that things are changing a bit with the current AIs like SkyPanda, WonderMan, 105, etc., which have specific strategies. While 6 years ago, we had Promi, the Horde, Tribal, Illuminati, etc., which used to have um, really common strategies overall. Well, this is exactly what an AI should never do. Just because a second tower is built, the villagers will change their behavior and will go back to TC. That's really unfortunate for Phyrexx. But I think that after having seen the 1v1 and 4v4, we can consider that this 2v2 can be close. especially because we saw that Phyrexx is able to beat Wonder Man. Oh, Trash worked pretty well against Phyrexx, so we already can imagine yellow losing a side, blue losing other side, and an interesting fight between green and red, maybe. Let's see. Alright, let's decrease the speed and see the show. Okay, we've got the same configuration than the game before. A small army composed with 4 TCs and two Scorpions, which are lost at the first assault. And then Phyrexx come to counterattack and keep pressing. Let's see what's gonna happen right now. Maybe that's sending its Scorpions this way. It can prevent Phyrexx to come and press in the front of the Blues town. Because blue definitely needs time. It will need green, I guess, after yellow to be dead. Question of timing. What's yellow population? Wow, okay, already 25 population villagers only. 105 is doing a great job once again. Well, things looks to be fine actually for Wonder Man. Okay, red should click up Castle Age soon. It needs to be castle now, I think. Alright. Green is already training knights. And red should be castle soon now. Yeah, unfortunately, maybe red will never go castle eventually. It keeps using its wood to train useless knights, skirmishers, I mean. I really don't get this choice going for skirmishers. Maybe because it can't train archers, because it doesn't have the access to the gold. So it's just breaking its strategy. Alright, game is over. Norman didn't need 1 of 5 to help him this time. So it's quite convincing victory for ScriptOff. Congratulations.